guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called Why McDonald's is Better in Europe. So this looks very interesting. Let's check it out and comment, like and subscribe.
On November 19, 2022, Juan Baus tweeted this picture. Absolutely loving the design of this reusable packaging that's being introduced at McDonald's France. The reusable packaging went viral, like really viral. Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, retweeted him and said something French. We saw all of this and had a lot of questions. How come McDonald's is introducing this type of packaging? Why in France? And why does it look so good?
It looks very minimalistic.
In the following months, we went down a rabbit hole and ended up modeling the entire dishware collection. As it turns out, sleek fry containers tell many stories. How the European Union is bringing conglomerates like McDonald's to their knees. Not just in France, but all over the continent. How a country known for everything fancy developed a truly unique relationship with fast food. And a completely different type of McDonald's.
Yeah, I didn't realize it's true. Oh, McDo.
McDonald's in France, you don't understand how popular it is.
And, of course, how good design can transform experiences.
Have you ever been to a McDonald's in Paris?
No? Why?
Okay, what is it? Okay, so he's apparently very famous. It's very different.
This is your life in weeks if you're lucky enough to turn 80 years old. And this is the amount of time you spent on your career. 80,000 hours. We choose to spend this time on researching McDonald's packaging for YouTube videos. You probably want to spend all the time on something meaningful that makes a big positive difference in the world. 80,000 Hours is also the name of today's sponsor, a non-profit that wants to help you figure out how to do that. They've been researching the question of how you can find a fulfilling career that does good for years. They have a website that provides you all that research, a podcast, and also a newsletter. They have a job board that provides hundreds of open listings for potential high-impact career paths. And all of their advice and research is free, forever. So, if you're not sure how to do something that feels meaningful, helps others, and makes a positive difference, maybe check out their in-depth career guide at 80,000hours.org/fern. Life is short, but what you do with your decreasing time is up to you. Anyways, it all started with a simple message. Yo, Juan, would you be down? He was.
There is something there with the whole ad campaign around it, and I think people's reactions to it are quite good. But then also maybe the question is are people gonna steal this?
When Juan is not going viral and getting featured in Drew Gooden videos, he's a UX writer for some of the biggest brands out there. Oh, and Juan also lives in Paris. To get a better look at this weird new packaging, we needed a man on the ground. Juan was that man.
Yeah, of course it was there. Is it plastic? Is it cardboard?
The design is truly spectacular. We will get to that in a minute. First, we need to understand why this is happening.
So strange.
As we reviewed Juan's footage and dug deeper, we realized that it's not just the packaging that makes French McDonald's
what are those fries? What?
Special.
Chapter 1. The Rise of McDo.
Fast food in France do not seem like a good match. It's the country of fine dining, Michelin stars, and long-lasting dinners in cozy bistros. When McDonald's came to the country in 1997, the French were skeptical.
70, 80 top chefs in the country took out a newspaper ad in the country's biggest newspaper saying that they thought it was preposterous that McDonald's was coming to France. And they were like, this is absolutely ridiculous. We need to stop this fast food thing.
But they could not help but indulge, like everybody else on the planet.
Ici, c'est plus complet, c'est plus sympa.
Nonetheless, the company remained controversial for decades. In 1992, it launched a poster campaign showing the French chef and absolute superstar Paul Bocuse secretly dreaming about a Big Mac while examining a pile of plump chickens. The chef sued right away for $2.7 million.
Oh, he wasn't
When I found out these were real Big Mac advertisements, I immediately contacted my lawyers and instructed them to seek damages.
Oh my God.
How can I be seen promoting this tasteless, boneless food in which everything is soft?
His lawyer added the ad would be
an intolerable insult to the Pope of world cuisine.
7 years later, it got much worse for the fast food chain. At the time, the World Trade Organization and the US were trying to force Europe to accept imports of hormone-induced beef. Europe resisted, and the US in turn imposed heavy duties on certain luxury products as a retaliatory measure.
Okay,
One of the items
revenge.
targeted was Roquefort cheese from France.
Not the
French
Roquefort.
sheep farmers were angry, and they found a symbol of American global capitalism and trade doctrine like no other.
Yeah, it's what it
McDonald's.
represents, of course.
So a French horde went and utterly wrecked a restaurant of the chain, which was currently under construction
Oh my
in
God,
the small
can
French
they
city
do that?
Millau.
Were
The
they
horde
sued?
was led by the activist and sheep farmer José Bové, the Frenchest-looking man of all time. I mean, what even is this pipe?
Yeah,
The
it's a
McDonald's incident made Bové a national hero and leader of the French anti-globalization movement. He
Okay.
published a best-selling book 2 years later, and in 2007 he ran for president.
Oh, he
Later
ran
he
for
went into
president.
European politics,
That
all
didn't
on
go
the
so
back
well?
of really
Okay.
hating McDonald's.
That's
José
insane.
Bové rose to global fame 15 years ago after he demolished a half-built McDonald's.
Did he get jail
However,
time?
despite Bové's crusade, McDonald's could not be slayed.
You can't, okay.
Off the
I'm
bat,
guessing it's
it had
younger
a
people.
competitive advantage over brasseries, bistros, and cafes. The
Like
restaurants were designated as takeout joints. This meant the value-add tax was just 5.5% versus the 19.6% at gastronomic
That's a lot.
restaurants. The food was cheap and the French economy was bad, like always. Another factor played a much
okay.
bigger role though. McDonald's always has been good at inserting itself into the local culture of the country it operates in. But nowhere has it succeeded on such a scale as in France. The company realized that French customers were drastically different from
What
American
way?
ones. Americans visited McDonald's more often, at any time of the day, frequently alone, opting for takeout 70% of the time. In contrast, the French came in groups, spent more money per visit,
more
and
social.
significantly more time in the restaurants. 70% of them dropped in during regular lunch and dinner hours.
Makes sense.
French McDonald's was not treated like a takeout place by customers,
It was
but
treated like a
like any
restaurant.
other bistro. As NPR puts it, sitting down to a meal is a cornerstone of French culture.
Oh, that's nice.
So the chain adapted. In the US, its restaurants are designed to attract people from afar. The golden
that's
M
why they have
glooming
the
high,
really
calling
giant
you
logo.
to that sweet, sweet drive-in in a car. The interior is often a little uncomfortable, intended to minimize customer visiting time and maximize purchasing turnover.
Yeah, but it is fast
In
food, of
France,
course.
the restaurants are often sleek, modern, and comfortable. You can find relative
I bet that's why the design of the actual like packaging is also like very minimalistic because it's very sleek. I think that's the right word. And now seeing like the lines and stuff of like the restaurant, like the design of the restaurant, I think it's very similar to the actual like packaging, and they actually make sense, I have to say.
relatively cozy corners designated specifically for larger
Yeah, like
groups of
just
people.
like a bistro.
Sometimes there's even table service.
What's the difference between
On
a
the
bistro
outside,
and a
the
restaurant?
golden M is often subdued on the facade. The architecture is regionally diverse. McDonald's in France almost doesn't feel like fast food. That is so apparent, even the dumbest show on the planet, Emily in Paris, noticed.
Okay.
This is so chic. There's no grimace, no hamburglar.
I don't think there's
What's
been
a
those in like
hamburger?
a bunch of years, actually.
And never mind.
Didn't they take
Products
them
are
away from
locally
like
sourced,
the
and they are
Vietnamese?
unique offerings like the obvious McBaguette, but also a Croque McDo.
Oh my, like a
McDonald's
Croque
does this everywhere, of course.
Yeah, I do have to say that they did mention that McDonald's is like very good at like integrating themselves in like the country they're in, and I think probably that's part of its success. But I do have to say that they usually have like this regional sort of like, not always, but sometimes they do have like this regional sort of like dishes where they take like something. I think in Japan they do it with like wasabi or something. Like they try to incorporate some like local stuff from the cuisine or I think to make it like more palatable maybe for people and something familiar to you. Although at this point, like who doesn't know McDonald's? Who hasn't eaten at some McDonald's in their lives? I think all countries have them, but I don't know. But let's continue.
But they do it very well in France.
I
There's a
love the
funny little
McBaguette.
review of the world-famous
have
La
that one.
Dorée macarons in Paris on TripAdvisor. The reviewer concludes, the macarons taste the same as the ones sold at McDonald's across the road, except for 4 times as much as the price.
That's so
You
harsh.
see, this person from London is not just angry. They
I
are
would be.
onto
Well,
something.
I would be angry
The
as
macarons
well.
at McDonald's are indeed manufactured by the same company.
No, wait, what? It's like the most
Today,
famous
McDonald's
like,
is
brand of
universally
macarons.
called McDo in France.
I love
It is
the
a
McDo.
cultural institution and even has its own slogan.
Venez comme vous êtes. So like, come as you are.
It is considered to be one of
Isn't
the
it? I'm
biggest
loving it.
and most profitable markets for McDonald's in the world.
Okay, that's
So
crazy.
McDo is special. But why would they come up with reusable dishware? It seems like quite the hassle.
No,
Well,
it's good
the
marketing.
root of it all is the EU.
Oh, it's the policies.
Chapter 2. The EU's war on plastic.
Sometimes people don't realize how powerful the EU actually is.
I think they're pretty
European Union's
powerful.
executive body, the Commission, can issue directives. These directives are goals which must be achieved by all member countries. But every country can decide on how to get there. Once translated into national law, the member states must notify the Commission, which in turn checks if it is A-OK. Then the directive needs to be enforced in every country. If a member fails, it may get fined. A particularly
Just
famous
monetarily?
directive is Directive 2019/904 of the European Parliament and of the Council of 5 June 2019. Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
nuts.
yeah, like, okay, that's a
Basically, it's a
resolution.
big EU move to reduce the impact of plastic on the environment.
good.
This includes the much ridiculed ban of plastic straws and balloon sticks.
Why
But
is it
in truth,
ridiculous?
it goes much further than plastic straws becoming paper ones. For example, the directive makes single-use plastic producers pay to clean up single-use trash. And finally,
Well, but
the
that's a good
important
thing.
point, it forces member countries to find
just
ways
yeah.
to reduce the consumption of single-use plastics,
Yeah, if you
such as
reduce it,
food containers
you're
and
not gonna have
beverage
trash.
cups. France is always exceedingly extra and top of the class in combating plastic. They've gone way above what was expected and banned new single-use plastic packaging from 2040. From early 2025, new plastic packaging has to be made of 100% recycled plastic. And since the beginning of 2023, single-use packaging is banned from French fast food restaurants.
I love that.
Which
That's what it
brings
should
us to this.
be. The fries look different. Am I crazy? Am I tripping? I think the fries look
Chapter
like
3.
weird.
Le dessin est incroyable.
When we first chatted with Juan, he shared our initial fascination with the French McDonald's reusable packaging.
If you look at the fries basket, like it looks sort of, you can
Like a toy?
immediately tell what it is.
Okay.
McDonald's fries basket. But it looks kind of modern. It looks kind of
Yeah.
like, you know,
Futuristic.
apple-fied. Yeah, they kind of nailed it with the design.
Juan also filmed how you ultimately return the dishware. The process seems a lot more dignified
Alright.
than the usual dumping of 500 kilograms of trash into an oversized, nasty, overflowing eat-it-all bin. We went on to model the dishware based on his footage and promotional material. Because why not? It's undeniably French.
What does
The
that
design
mean?
studio behind it is called Ilium. They picked a plastic called Trident for the various containers,
it's
which is similar to
plastic.
glass and
How
ceramic
does
in
it
its
feel
hardness
to
and
the touch?
transparency, and preserves the organoleptic qualities of the food. Vents,
Like they're
graining,
organic.
striations have all been designed to address their functions in the best possible way. Greasy
fries don't
hands
look real.
need great grip.
I'm
The
tripping out
development
with the
of this
fries.
technology took over 2 years.
Oh
And
my
surprisingly,
God.
it gets stolen a lot. The
What
reused
would you-
dishware went
why would you want
viral
that?
with good right. But it's just one small part of a much more elegant whole. For a country where eating at the restaurant is the norm, it makes even more sense that the food is not needlessly overpacked anymore. However, it's
I
unclear
guess.
if relying on reusable plastic is actually more sustainable than switching to long-wearing glass or china.
Yeah, I
The
was
French
gonna say,
government
just use,
promises
like,
to
ceramic.
remain vigilant on this question. McDonald's
Okay.
has been doing very tiny steps towards improving their packaging for more than 30 years. Ironically, we made
How
a video
old
in
is
German
McDonald's?
before knowing about all this, criticizing the chain for greenwashing their enormous trash footprint in Germany
do you mean, like,
and
greenwashing? What
pretend
does that
fixing the
mean?
issue. Some EU directives.
They lied?
One chunky national law later, we get this. To us, this is a story of how business, if set on the right track through legislation, can really leap forward.
Yeah, of
McDo
course.
really did turn around the French anti-plastic legislation to their benefit, simply through introducing a design so noteworthy, people talk about it. Like us.
Okay, so yes, I know I know that it was a computer model, but again, like those fries look very particular. Like they were at some point, I think they were brown. I would love to know what's in those fries because again, I know that obviously the point of the video is just like, obviously the packaging and all of that. But I would love to know if those fries taste the same because I think one of the most like particular thing about McDonald's is that even when they have like their own sort of I mentioned like their own like regional sort of like they made adjustments. The fries, I think, taste the same. I think almost everywhere, like they just like, I don't know what did they put in those fries, but I know that French fries, it's a French fry. It tastes the same. But it's like, yes, but not always. And I think for McDonald's fries, it's a very particular taste. I don't know if they use like the same kind of fries all over the world, but I think they're just like, again, they taste very similar in the same, like it doesn't matter where you are. And I want to know, like, if that's the case in France as well, because like the fries looked kind of weird at some point. They looked like kind of brown, and I would love to know that. But and also like again the food. Like I would want to try the what was it called? Like the baguette, the baguette. I think that was the name. Well, I mean, I get it. It's obviously like it's a sandwich and it's a baguette, but what is it like? A hamburger patty like inside of a baguette, or does it have like Roquefort or some other or brie or some other like French cheese? I'm so curious about it. I would love to know what it has and also like obviously how it tastes because it's very interesting to me. The whole like mac like the thing's like a croque medium. I guess it maybe so sort of like a breakfast item, although they have like the McMuffins. I don't know. I know McDonald's is also like pretty. Well, I don't know how big they are, but it's very popular as well, as in like the breakfast food, fast food, like when it comes to like fast food, like restaurants, I think, McDonald's, like the McBreakfast is also like very popular. I'm guessing the croque madame is also a part of that, regular assortment it's on the menu. But it's again, what's the difference between a croque madame, a regular croque madame, and this? I would like to know as well. What's the difference between a bistro and a restaurant? Because I do like maybe it's in France, like maybe they don't call it restaurants, it's a bistro. Maybe that's the right term. Or bistros or something else, they're different and it's not actually like a regular restaurant. Would also love to know that. I'm a little bit like, I don't know, is it the same? I don't know. But as of for the whole like packaging, I think the whole like McDonald's story, I think is very interesting. It's hard for me to like in this day and age to think about someone not having had a McDonald's at some point in their lives. Maybe it's not something you do like regularly, but I think, as I don't know, like when you were a kid or something like, or at some point in your life, like you ate a McDonald's at some point, right? Like maybe it's not something like it's like so for a foreign concept of like, what's McDonald's? I've never had it. So it is kind of crazy that it's one of the most like probably wide known companies like in the world. Again, maybe I think they're everywhere. I think they're like in basically every country. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but again, I think it's everywhere. Like literally in almost over like 50% of the world, like you're going to be able to find McDonald's. And again, it's going to taste, if not the same, very similarly, like in various different places. Maybe some people would disagree, but probably some people that have tried McDonald's in more places than I have are gonna disagree a little bit and say like, no, it doesn't actually taste the same. But in the places that I've had it, like it just is the same. But it's an insane thing of like how this company has grown in countries that were even unfathomable for their popularity. Like you would have thought, again, I think it was 1997 where they started apparently in France, that, it would have become like this incredible like popular place and one of like the bigger markets in Europe. It is kind of crazy. And it is, when you think about it, it's like, yes, of course, because France is known by their cuisine. It's very like, oh, high cuisine. Like you're thinking of going to France. You're thinking, oh, I'm going to eat very well. I'm going to be eating like very like delicious food. But it's because I'm going to be eating by like the world's like most renowned like famous chefs. And it's like this incredible food. And you're not thinking, oh, I'm going to eat at McDonald's, because I think you would probably, before this video, I think I would have said, like, if I were in France and, a Frenchman would ask me, oh, where are you going to eat? And maybe I would say, like, oh, I'm going to eat at McDonald's. I think they're going to be, like, so upset. Like, how would you dare eat at one McDonald's where you can actually, like, sit down at a bistro and take advantage of like the local cuisine, which of course that's what I would do, because again, like the whole point of like maybe going to new places is obviously trying the food. I wouldn't necessarily go to McDonald's, but well, now I'm curious. I want to try the Mac Baguette now. But as in a general rule, I think obviously like fast food chain like restaurants are a bit like, when you're traveling, like why would you want to eat there if you have other actual restaurants? But for people that actually live there, the whole year that they're French or they just like live there, of course their daily lives is just like, again, it's a commodity thing. Sometimes you're gonna have to eat at a fast food chain, and of course they're gonna need that, so they go to McDo, which I love the name as well. I like it. I like it. He's like, I'm loving it. But I want to know, like, do they actually, like, in the places they say, like, McDo? Because I've noticed, actually, in recent years, that I think McDonald's has moved away a little bit from the branding of, like, what I remember a bunch of years ago was that they were, like, very colorful and very, like, I don't know, like, they were, like, the whole McDonald's sign was everywhere. And obviously, like, the logo and everything was very bright, colorful, and they had like, I don't know how to describe it. It's very big, very bright. And I think in recent years, I think they've moved not just in France, but I think in other places. I think they've moved a little bit from that, and they're trying to like pull back a little and probably make it like a sleeker design and more, again, maybe not as minimalistic as this situation. But just the general sort of like, I don't know, the branding has been a little bit less colorful and less, maybe less for kids. I think the idea that I used to have is like, oh, McDonald's is for kids. Because again, they had like the Hamburglar or, Grimace. Like they had all this bunch of like, and even, all the little toys and all of that. I think in recent years, I think maybe that's just my idea. Or my perception, I think they moved away a little bit from that, and they just they pulled back on all of those like little, on all the figures. Like I don't know how the whole like Mac family members. I don't know. Like I know there's like this lore that they sort of like pulled back, and I think like children these days probably don't really know. Like if you show like the Hamburglar, they would be like, who's this person? This little weird toy figure. Like they wouldn't really know. So I'm guessing in France, they never had that because they were never exposed to that. And it's interesting because again, maybe it was seen as maybe more, maybe like a more adult sort of like population or consumers. And the target was probably more aimed towards adults and less towards children as it was in other places. And maybe that's why I have, I'm thinking about it. And maybe that's why I have like this idea in my head of like, it's for kids. But I think maybe in France, the McDo, or maybe throughout all Europe, was more, targeted to actual adults from the start. And that's why maybe it's all, has always been a little like sleeker. Besides, obviously, this, rebranding on all these like ecological sort of like repackaging. I love it. I think I have to say it looks a little bit like a bucket. I know that obviously a lot of like designers and engineers worked on this to have like the Optimus sort of like grip, and it has like this incredible design that apparently is going to make you feel like the most at ease. I don't think that's something that I've ever actually I don't really have given like that much thought to like the actual packaging. Besides, of the actual like fast food, whatever it is that I'm consuming, besides maybe, they have to use less plastic. Is this reusable? Or maybe not reusable, but just, is this recyclable? Is this, again, like maybe we should use less plastic. That's just like where my mind goes, and that's it. I'm not thinking, is the grip like good for me? I don't know. I'm not going that far, but I think that's probably one of the good sort of like, points, and one of the good aspects about like having engineers that do this for you is that they anticipate the needs that you're not thinking about it. It's like, no, they do it for you, and it's something that you never have to think about, because it's like, it never would have occurred to me that maybe like those little ridges make it better for you to like grab your fry. I don't know. It is like, yes, me as a consumer, I'm not thinking about that, and that's the job of like the engineers that design this, and it's a good sign that they're doing their jobs because they're anticipating your needs, which I think it's all a marketing, like a marketing, I don't know, from a marketing standpoint. And probably again for you to go back to this place, I think it's good. So they're clearly like doing their jobs. But I think it's a great idea, and I want to actually sit down and have a meal at a McDo and see how different it is, like the whole experience with the whole like packaging and also the food, to see how different it is from an actual like McDonald's. And if the fries taste the same and all of that, I would love that, and I think it's very good. I do like the fact that apparently they're going to reevaluate if this actually makes a difference, like long term, because obviously the whole idea is behind the whole EU banning plastic, and which I think all more countries should follow, and France in particular. Like, it's good that they're obviously anticipating the huge amounts of plastic that we have in our planet. So it is on one hand it's good, but they're also like, how, because again, if like it's the novelty, like they said, like, oh, it went viral because everyone wants to know, like, oh, it is very weird, like where I've never seen like that packaging in a McDonald's before. And it's like, yes, and they're gonna tell you the whole thing of like, we're greener, it's a greener world, it's better, whatever. But it's like, yes, but long term, does it actually like make a difference? I like that they're like, we are open to seeing and evaluating like the situation maybe in a few years, and see if this has actually like made a difference. And if, it's the plastic has been reduced. And again, if this is working, which I like, because it's like, yes, it shows openness to actually like working towards a good solution, and not just, talk and sort of like they said, I think Germany did it, of just like, yes, hey, we're greener now, like, but don't go looking into this like too far, because you're gonna get upset if you actually see the reality. It's like, no, I like that it shows apparently that there is an actual, like, they want to do this, like there's an actual like will of doing like this, and actually like making the world like greener place, which I like. And they're open to like reevaluating in a few years. I do think it's funny that people actually steal it. I wonder, is it the novelty thing? Is it tourists like just like stealing it to get, to their countries and be like, hey, you're never gonna believe it, this is where the packaging, like where, I know, like the drinks come here in this little like, I don't know, in this little glass, no, it wasn't glass. It was like this other material. So maybe is it that, or is it just French people doing the stealing, and maybe they're like, oh, because it's like a novelty and we're having this. I can't believe that actually like people steal it, but apparently it's a thing. But again, we'd love to know, is it tourists like for the most part, or is it French people stealing it? I don't know. It seems a little weird to me how just take a picture and that's it. But people are weird in general, so maybe it's something I'm not understanding. And also, I think at some point, I maybe they did sort of like they thought about it, and there was a reason why they said like, no, we're not thinking about doing this right now. Given the sense that in France, again, people apparently like they sit down, and McDonald's, McDo is seen as something where, is it like a sit down restaurant and you go and you eat? Isn't it better to just like put like, I don't know, glass and like ceramic as in any other restaurant? Wouldn't that be better? Maybe they're afraid like people stealing it. Although I don't think people are going to steal it, because it's just like a plain sort of like white plate or a red plate to go over the whole theme of like the colors of McDonald's. I don't think people are going to steal that. It's just like, it's a red plate. I don't know, especially because it doesn't have any logos. So I don't know. Maybe that would have been like a good solution. And I'm wondering why they didn't. It's because they're afraid like it might fall. But I think because it breaks. But there's material that doesn't really break. Plates that are not made out of ceramic. I don't know what's the material that doesn't break. Maybe that's just plastic. I don't know. Maybe it's less like it costs more money. I don't know. We'd love to know the situation there, and how come if they're going that far, saying like most people here just like sit down and eat. It's like, well, like any bistro, so give them actual silverware. I don't know. Again, there's gonna be some reasons, but I will. It's interesting to me that they haven't really done it, because I'm thinking it must have come up at some point throughout the whole process. I don't know. I'm thinking I'm not the only one. But this was very interesting. I love this video. And that was it for today. And I'll see you soon. Bye.